We've spent the last 3 months living and working in some very cool Mexican cities. It's been an incredible experience, but it's also been quite an education. In this video, we'll share some of the top things we've learned about ourselves and about what it takes to live and work on the road here in Mexico. When you work on the road, you still sit in front of the computer all day, just like you do at home. But guess what? On top of that, you're going to have a bunch of other stuff to take care of. Life tasks, day-to-day tasks, travel tasks, things like getting the Wi-Fi to work or figuring out which cafe to go to if it isn't working, somewhere where you can get Wi-Fi. Determining what groceries you need, where to go for dinner, where to find groceries. Things just aren't as familiar as they usually are. You also have to decide on any travel experiences you want to have. And then once you've decided, you need to plan everything. Book tickets, logistics, make an itinerary, and you might be dealing with language barriers as well. It all adds up to leaving you sometimes feeling more exhausted than you do at home, where everything is quiet, familiar, stable, and predictable. Our recommendation is to pace yourself work-wise and be firm on taking time off when you're working on the road.
This one probably seems surprising, but it's true. Even though you're in a cool destination with tons of things to see and you're there for a long period of time, work can actually keep you from experiencing a destination the same way you would when you were traveling. We estimate that for every month we're in a new city, we get about 8 to 10 days of travel-like experiences, and that's if we really push. So that perception that you get to spend all your days exploring and discovering, well, that's not quite true when working on the road. So as we already noted, try to take some days off during your time abroad so you can have some travel experiences as well.
You might think of yourself as one of those people who, as long as you have a good laptop and access to Wi-Fi, you're good to go. But the reality is, working long hours in an uncomfortable chair in a hot cafe surrounded by loud people, or if there's spotty Wi-Fi, is a pain. It's stressful. If possible, we highly recommend ensuring that your rental has at least one dedicated workspace. More and more Airbnbs these days are offering dedicated workspaces, but it's really important to prioritize it when you're looking for a place. We've had some apartments that were perfectly set up and others that were, well, not so great.
Being told by your rental that the Wi-Fi is the best available doesn't guarantee that it's reliable and fast. The end result being you might have to work with slow internet speeds to get your work done, which compromises your productivity, might compromise your relationship with clients. It's not a good thing. So wherever you go, check, and double check to make sure that the Wi-Fi speeds are going to suit you and your work needs. And make sure there are other options available if things go sour. One of the things to consider doing is to reach out to your host well in advance of your arrival to the rental and get them to send screenshots of the Wi-Fi speeds.
When you travel on a holiday or a vacation, your priorities might be to pick a neighborhood with an active social and food scene close to the action and the sights. But when working on the road, your priorities change. You become more budget focused, so you're looking for a good deal for a long-term stay. And you want to be somewhere quiet, close to groceries, markets, cafes, and co-working spaces. So when picking a neighborhood for working on the road, it's important to think first about your work days. Are you close to everything you need? And then you can view going into livelier neighborhoods as fun outings.
Lindsay got lucky during our time in Mexico. Me, not so much. I got sick 4 times. 4 times. The first time I caught a cold on the airplane on the way down. The people beside me, they were coughing, sniffling, there was stuff coming out of their nose. It was awful. So of course I picked that up. That took about 4 or 5 days out of me. In Guadalajara, I got food poisoning, leading to about 12 hours of non-stop bathroom visits. Then in Morelia, I came down with a fever one night that I've never been able to explain. I just kind of got a little sick, a little nauseous, but it went away, lasted about a day. Finally, and worst of all, I got a serious case of leading me to crawl down to the local pharmacy and explain to them that I couldn't and they gave me these that had to stick up my and it was really awful, and it happened twice.
So you've no doubt heard the term live like a local, and that's something every adventurous nomad or expat strives for. And though you can certainly have similar experiences to locals, eat where locals eat, shop where they shop, unless you have a common language, you'll be hard-pressed to connect with locals in a meaningful way. So if you really want to immerse yourself in a new community, you should definitely aim to know some Spanish.
Alright, let's put this old cliche to bed once and for all. And to be honest, this wasn't a discovery for us. It was more of a surprise at how many people we've talked to still think that Mexico is cheap. Yes, it's still less expensive than it is here in Canada, but the surging economy and the strong peso means it's more on par than it's ever been. The people who would feel the most difference are those coming from big cities like LA or New York or Toronto, but for the rest of us, the difference just isn't that big anymore. So keep that in mind when you're budgeting for your time in Mexico.
Challenges aside, immersing ourselves in Mexico for 3 months was an unbelievable experience.
For sure.
At the end of a long work day, you get to stroll outside and wander past a 500-year-old cathedral.
Yeah, where you go for groceries, and when you're coming home, you run into all these soccer fans who are celebrating the latest win.
Or you might be coming home from a late night dinner and wander past a group of musicians singing in cobblestone streets. These are experiences we just can't get at home, which is why we keep going back to Mexico.
For more of our experiences living and working in Mexico, make sure you check out our playlist.